This time I didn't tell them all what they're hearing right now. I didn't tell them right now, but the point of it is I began babysitting, cutting grass, shoveling snow, doing whatever I could because I was under doctor's orders not to work. My son came then, and Pastor Wayne was saying, well, step out there on faith. Incorporate, start your own business. That's what we did. He mentored me how to do it. So we started HJR Investments Consult, changed the daycare, DBA, Right Beginnings Daycare and Learning Center, and I started talking in the churches, volunteering to speak to children and anyone, you know, and once people found out that daycare is a great ideal in Burnville, there's no commercial daycare learning centers in Burnville, people start doing things to sabotage me. My financial people sabotaged my finance paperwork. When we submitted to the bank, it was over $100,000 shorter than what it should be. I was denied. The engineer stole money from me and deposited in his personal account. Prevented me from opening in January like we should have. And I was all coming out of pocket money and God's money to open the daycare. The newspaper heard about it and wrote an article on us. So Lowe's department store, Bank of America, Burke's Lane held a fundraiser for us because they heard how people were taking advantage of us. Now, mind you, at this time, I'm going to Pastor Wayne saying, Pastor Wayne, I may have to dig them guns up out of the yard and go see these people. You know, out of anger. He's like saying, Randy, no. So I get home and I feel ashamed for talking to my pastor like that. So I take them guns and sell them to the police and get $200. And I said, well, I can pay my landlord with this. I ain't gonna tell him where it came from. So I took him the money from the guns. And I started thinking, wow, okay, all right, Lord, all right. And so I went on from there, and people would send money into Bank of America that didn't know me in furtherance of the daycare. People would send money to Lowe's department store because they opened accounts for us, for people to donate to in furtherance of the daycare. Presently now, because I said, Pastor, everyone's doing everything to sabotage this. What do I do? He says, start another business. And I said, Pastor, are you serious? We don't even have this one. He said, start another one. You and Liz talked about a nonprofit. Start another one. He said, do you believe in God? Do you trust in God? He said, well, start another one. We just started another business. It's called We Agape You, which means I love you. The agape is from the lady up in Berwick who I used to go talk to, so I named it after her. I mean, her company. So we just started another nonprofit, and I'm saying, look, whatever's going to happen, I'll just turn it over to the Lord. I'm not going to fight him no more. I'm not going to go into details about nothing. I'm just going to let the Lord handle it. Whoever it is, you come rob me, you say bad things to my landlord about me, whatever. He's here today. He hears it from my mouth now. You know, you can pull my name up, Randolph Simmons, on the Bureau of Corrections in the Feds, and see everything about me. So there's no sense in me lying. There's no sense in me keeping secrets. Any and everyone, I invite you, look into my past and see what I do today in the glory of the Lord. And I just want to thank you for listening to me and sharing my story. It really does my heart well to be able to speak to people about that. And I want to leave time open for questions. Anyone who may want to have any questions, please feel free to ask me anything, especially and particularly the younger people, you know, because I know what you're going through. I know what you're thinking. I know where you're at. Surprisingly, I was young once too. So thank you, guys.
You have any questions? You told me something, say it again. At some point between when you were in and when you were released, you were offered to go to a special education in the prison. Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
That was like a 9-month.
Well, that was a program. I did go. I completed that. It's called RDAP.
Why don't you talk about that a little bit?
It's the feds have the most intense program in rehabilitation, and they will add extra time and let you out. If you complete it, it's difficult. I had to wear my clothes inside out. You know, I had to walk around with a teddy bear and talk around in front of killers. you know, in front of people in prison, you know, they totally break you down. You know, the facade that you're up under, or how you think you're cool, or I was a guy that did this, they break you down. And at any moment, they can dismiss you out of the program. Then you got to do an extra time in jail. If you get thrown out that program, it's called RDAP. And in that program, I tell you, you see grown men who did all kind of terrible things crying. You hear their stories. You hear what was done to them. And it's therapeutic, you know, and that's what helped me as well, you know. But I'm like one of them kind of, I would like to say slow guys, slow learners, you know, and I had to go to the pastor all the time, you know, pastor, this don't make sense for them making me carry this teddy bear around because I never had hugs when I was little, you know what I mean? And he's trust the process, but RDAP was I recommend that to anybody who's in there, because that program, believe me, plus the Lord saved my life, you know, and that's how I was able to get out of jail so fast, because I was willing to do anything, you know what I mean? And as a result of that, I'm here today, you know. So thanks, that was a great question. I forgot to even tell about that.
How can you open a daycare when you have a criminal record?
Well, I had to go through all kind of checks and clearances from the feds. I've been cleared for everything. I have every kind of clearance. I have every type of certification. I never had a child crime. I just robbed banks. You know what I mean? So,
Oh, wow.
I didn't mess with children. You know what I mean? So I just rob banks and shoot people.
We shoot people. That's not the same as
Never heard of children.
Yeah, I never. So I had to go through all kinds of stringent stuff, so they gave me my certification from the feds, the state, the county. I can open a daycare, you know, and so I was blessed for that. It was one of the concerns, but, you know, it worked out. You had a question?
I got two questions. The first one's for you. What's a pimp? Anybody know what a pimp is?
A person who sells
pretty close. What would your definition be? That's pretty close.
Hookers.
A hooker.
Yeah.
They
You know what hookers
they sell women for money. Hookers.
What's your second question?
What's the most important thing in prison, you said? That's the most important thing you said today.
In prison, for me, the most important thing was surrender.
You said reputation.
Oh, yeah, oh, that? Okay, but surrender to my Lord.
But your reputation means everything, correct?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So you were surrendering your reputation.
I had to. Or I wouldn't be here. With all these stab wounds and metal in my face, I wouldn't be here. You have to, man, because if you continue to walk that false bravo with that, you know, I'm tough, I'm slick, you know, or no one knows what you're doing. I mean, there's nothing new under the sun these days. Everything been done before you. And so parents always know. And they always know. They see it. They were once children prior to having children. But, you know, when you're a child, you think no one knows or no one understands, but that's not true. Your parents are your best friends in the world. You know, and hopefully, prayerfully, none of you have to ever be subjected to that stuff, to realize that your parents are truly the ones who love you, are truly your best friends for life.
So you started out with little stuff and got away with it.
For many, many years. And that's it.
And that, since you got away with it, you were good to go for the next one.
Yeah, absolutely. And see, crime is designed to let you get away at first, because that enslaves you into thinking you're slick, or that you can do it, or that you're invincible. You know, like if you notice, people who get arrested, that ain't their first time doing it in most cases. You know, they got away with stuff or similar things. You know what I mean? And that led them to just totally just be enslaved to that mentality. Because when you add it up, and a friend of mine, he's doing a triple life sentence right now, who started teaching me the easy way to surrender. You know, what I have to say is lifers are the most humblest people in the world. But anyway, he used to teach me about weightlifting. He used to say, you know, you got to pump that bar. You got to pump it. You got to pump it. And you just can't say, I'm going to pump it 20 times, 100 times, 1,000 times. You got to keep pumping it to develop a muscle. And that's what you have to do with the Lord. That's what you have to do with life. Repetition with a focus. You have to focus, you know what I mean? Because people are in the bodybuilding, the sports, and they repetitiously do that. But when you really look at repetition, what it is, man, that's the mother of creation. Especially when it's doing it for the right reasons, you know, for the Lord, or for whatever purposes for sports, or you, just for your body and your health and sound mind. But I tell you, man, and little things like that used to help me, because along the way for everybody here, you know, we think it got to be easier or it's just going to happen and fall in your lap. But life's not designed that way, really, not realistically. But I do know from sitting here, the energies that I'm feeling from you guys here, yous are intelligent, man. Children, young adults. And I just hope that you can take something from this. I hope that you understand that it's Mother's Day, which every day is Mother's Day. That you guys would just look at your parents in the sense that whereas they're there for you. You know, my mother tried, but she was sick, you know, and I make no excuses, but the point of it is your mothers and fathers are here. They're your best friends. Believe me when I tell you. I know you may think they're not cool or they nag you, but please know, you'll never have a better friend than your parents. Never. Because the same ones who I thought were my friends were in this next pen for me to give me life in prison. And that's just the way it is. I'm sure you have some questions as far as prison being a big money business now, huh?
Yeah. Well, kind of like I said earlier, like I was heard that prison was a punishment, now they go into rehabilitation. Do you think rehabilitation works for maybe the general population?
Absolutely not. What works for anyone is within you. Prison it was back then for rehabilitation, but you have to want it. See, prison's designed to offer you courses by Wall Street. Wall Street dictates what courses are allowed in prison. Wall Street dictates everything about prisons, right? And prison is all about a money thing now. If you go on Wall Street, you'll see prisons is big money business. So it's not about rehabilitation, it's about recidivism. That means coming in and out of jail. For anyone who doesn't know what that means. The more people coming in and out of jail, the more money. Prisons own stock. You know what I mean? Prisons is big money, and it's not about rehabilitating you at all. At all. You know, so when you start understanding that, because you see people coming in and out of prison, and I was in prison so long, I see people start working there and retire. You know what I mean? And I start thinking, wow. You know, so I just want you to understand it's definitely not about rehabilitation. When you hurt enough, or you accept the Lord, or either you just decide you don't want to come back, that's rehabilitation. That's the birth of rehabilitation. You have to decide that, and you have to be committed to that. Because nothing else will work. You know what I mean? Because if you're released from prison, back to your same old environment, you know what I mean? You still have the mindset that's lying dormant within you of what you used to do. You know, that's why you see people out and go back for 2 years, you know, or 6 months or whatever. But it's all about the money now, man. You know? And the law states that you can look this up. It states it doesn't matter if you're guilty or innocent, the police can arrest you. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You know, when you start looking at all of that and you start understanding, you know, let me stay as far away from that stuff as I can. Your character, what you stand for, must speak for yourself, must exude. Sometimes I'm driving down the streets, I hear, and I be thinking, yeah, pull me over. I want to show you what I'm doing today. And we laugh about it, Pastor Man and I say, yeah, pull me over. I'm hoping you pull me over so I can show you. Bam, I got 2 businesses now. I'm married now. I'm doing this, I'm doing that. I completed that. But they never pulled me over.
You can have it arranged if you want.
I know some police officers that try to make arrangements.
I work with some police now, but no, that's all right.
Randy, what's the purpose of them? You said you were in 40 different prisons. Why did they keep moving you? What was the reason?
Well, in the feds, it's called transition. Because I had cases in places. See, when you do white-collar crime, if you do one in Burnville, you do one in Redding, you have to answer to them in Burnville. You got to answer to them in Redding. And see, like I told you, I would do crimes maybe 10, 11, 12 in a day. and I would just keep going all over. Believe me, all over. So